extremely fun. It's Sunrise with Craig Froelich right here on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. We want to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or go to kcmxam.com. Join in the conversation by calling 541-772-8255. Sunrise, where it matters what you think.
I can't tell you, but it sure feels like madness. Don't you know I'm gonna make it with my friends? I promised myself I'd get back. Said I'm gonna try it with a tool.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 7 minutes after the hour, 46 degrees, a little Joe Cocker way back in the day, a little help from your friends. Well, that's what we're talking about here, and this is a part of our debate series. We've been continuing. This is week 3, and we're continuing all the way through next week. For anyone that's out there voting that hasn't tuned in yet, this is a chance. And we have long format, the ability, and we've invited all of the candidates for the Democrat candidates for the U.S. House of Representatives in the primary, and that includes Aelea Christofferson, Farnk, Vuillet, and Barney Spera. And Barney's from Ashland, and he's in the studio. And Farnk and Aelea were both invited, and Farnk, unfortunately, got delayed, but he's on the phone with us this morning, along with Aelea from the Dalles. And Farnk, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. I wish I was there, but I'm not.
I know it.
I'm sort of halfway there.
Exactly right. And Aelea, how are you this morning?
I'm great. It's beautiful here.
Great. You're up. Am I right saying the Dalles?
Yeah, right along the river.
Oh, my gosh. The Columbia Gorge. How about that? Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you both for tuning in and joining us. And Barney, there's your microphone. How about that? How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. I don't usually get up this early. But
I know it. It was an early stretch. I know it. I know it. Well, I appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Aelea is from Bend. Her website, AeleaForCongress.com, AELEA, AeleaForCongress.com. She's the founder and president of ATL Communications and a former president of Sun River Chamber of Commerce, and she was on the board for Cover Oregon. So a lot of questions. We had her in the studio a few weeks back. Great dialogue there. Farnk Vuillet is from Bend as well. He's an attorney and was in the Navy for a number of years, practiced law in the state of Washington, and then retired and has been down in this great state of Oregon. And Barney, of course, he's Marine Corps and flown all over the world, Pan Am and everything else, but also an arbitrator for the Better Business Bureau and a firefighter, and at one point, mayor, city councilman for the city of Millbrae, California. So, and an Eagle Scout all those years ago. So anyway, want to welcome all three of you into the studio this morning. We've got just a few minutes. What I wanted to do is, Aelea, maybe build off of that. I'll give you a minute for introduction related to your campaign and while you're in the race, and tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, the reason I'm in the Dalles is because I am on a trip going east. I'll be in the Dalles and Pendleton and Hermiston and Baker City. This is a very large district, and I'm spending a lot of my time going around the district so that I can listen to people on what issues they have. I've owned my business for 22 years, and much of that time I have spent in Washington working to bring together people of different opinions on issues in telecommunications. And I believe Congress is broken, and that it is that kind of working together ability between different professionals that's needed in Congress now.
Excellent, Aelea. And that was about 50 seconds, just so you just kind of know. Farnk, go ahead, sir.
Well, the first thing I have to say is I fully agree with Aelea that Congress is broken. I've been looking at it. I've been sort of a student of government, the Constitution, and Congress for really about the last 10 years since I retired. And I guess the only thing we might disagree with is how we go about fixing it. My view just at the outset is that the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get the rules of Congress done or repaired so it can go back to getting legislation finished, and none of this gridlock. So the Hastert rule in the House and the filibuster in the Senate are the first two things that need to go, but there's many other changes that need to be made in Congress as to how it conducts business, because otherwise, if you can't get Congress working, nothing else is ever going to get fixed.
Exactly right. Exactly. That was our minute warning. Barney, thanks so much for coming in, and I want to thank all of the candidates for being in this morning. Appreciate your efforts. I know that our Democrat listeners do appreciate this. Very interesting in the primary. We'll move on. But Barney, tell us about yourself, why you're running for Congress.
Well, the reason I'm running for Congress, I mean, the political part of my life I thought was over. I served as a city councilman and mayor many years ago in the city of Millbrae. Moved to Oregon in 1981 and had some cattle and some sheep and horses and grew giant pumpkins and enjoying the good life here. And I'm sitting in front of the television last September and watching Ted Cruz down there in Texas going to shut down the government here, and the Confederate flag flying down there and people saying, shut it down, shut it down. And I thought, he's not really going to do that. He's running for president, and be darned if he didn't shut down the government. And then I got mad at Greg Walden. Where was Greg Walden? He shut it down for 16 days, and Greg voted to keep it going. After 16 days, he voted to keep it going. Greg Walden poses as a conservative, fiscal conservative, but he's not really a fiscal conservative. That cost us $25 billion. The wars that he voted for and keep funding cost us $818 billion, almost $1 trillion. So the man is not a fiscal conservative. So I got mad and decided to run.
Excellent. Thanks, Barney. And, people are frustrated. I mean, everyone is frustrated, and it seems like Congress, the whole government system, it can work when they work together. I've seen it work. It's been impressive, quite frankly, when the Senate and the House do something and the president do something great. But it is very difficult, and I wonder, and I talk about this on the show a lot, the lack of negotiations, the art of negotiation. I mean, it's kind of turned into a hate speech, and this will be a yes/no question. Aelea, do you think that we've lost the art of negotiation and it's gone into more hate speech than anything else? Yes or no?
Yes,
you
absolutely.
do. Frank, do you think we've lost the art of negotiation and you hear more of a hate speech? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I fully agree with that statement.
All right. And Barney, yes or no on that?
Politics is the art of compromise, and we've lost the. They don't compromise anymore.
Exactly. Well, I want to get in, and this takes us right into, for Oregon, our first question. And Barney, I'll start with you. This would be, well, I'll tell you what, we do have this break, and we're timed perfectly. So I want to come out of this, and we'll hit our next question coming up right after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a debate series going on right here in our studio, in the KCMX studio, and we've got Barney here. Frank Vuillet is on the phone. Aelea Christofferson is on the phone. All three candidates on the Democrat ticket for the U.S. House of Representatives. One of these candidates will pass the vote in the primary and go on to the general and take whoever goes and wins in the general election. And, of course, the front runner is incumbent Congressman Greg Walden on the Republican side. So we'll actually be talking to Dennis Linthicum later on in the week. But quick break. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We are just getting going. You haven't missed that much. Come right back after this.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX Newstalk 880. A little bold and extremely fun, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. Here's Craig.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 19 minutes after the hour. Glad you are with us this morning. Tuesday morning, our debate series. And we've got three of the candidates in for Democrat for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 2nd District, Aelea Christofferson, Farnk, Vuillet, and Barney, Spera, and moving right along. And so we're really excited to have it. And I wanted to talk, we talked a little bit about all this, but I want to see the biggest issues. And this is for Oregonians. And Barney, I was going to start with you on this question. For Oregonians, because we've got Congress and everything else, and Senate, everything else, but for Oregonians explicitly, what are the biggest issues facing Congress and the Oregon 2nd District, in your thoughts? And I'll give you a minute. We want to set the timer, and there you go.
I think the greatest need in the 2nd District is, of course, jobs that pay a living wage. People are living paycheck to paycheck there. In America, there's 46 million, over 46 million are on food stamps there. The number of Americans on welfare are 12,800,000. It's not just Oregon, it's all over America here. So give people a living wage here. I think it's a disgrace here in this country here to have all these people living on food stamps, over 46 million people. Pay people a living wage. If you pay them a living wage, then retail business will flourish. People will have more money to spend. The tax base will be greater. So this is what the main reason why I'm running. I'm just so angry that people don't have enough money here. They just the average person is $15,000 in debt on their credit card. The average student owes $31,000 on their student loans.
Yeah, it's difficult. All right, there you go there. Miss Aelea, I'll give you a minute, and the question was the biggest issues facing Oregonians, facing Congress for Oregonians in the 2nd District.
I agree with Barney. It's all about jobs, both unemployment and underemployment. I have 5 kids in their 20s, and so I see a lot of the outcome of people who work and still can't make it. I believe anybody who works full-time should be making a living wage. I also, because I've owned a business for 22 years, I know what it is to create jobs and to create jobs that can sustain families. And I understand what the effects of the government have on the ability for businesses to do that. So there's changes we need to make in education, and there's changes we need to make in regulation in order for people like me to be able to create the jobs that are needed to solve this problem.
Excellent. Aelea, thank you. And Farnk, your answer?
Well, yeah, I would just add the comment. I certainly don't disagree with the gloomy economic statistics as far as unemployed, underemployed, credit card debt, and all of that. The one thing, and this, of course, is a perfect example of rules change I proposed, which would allow any 20% of the representatives in the House to get a bill onto the floor for a vote. Right now, you've got a minimum wage bill, H.R. 1010, which is sitting there, which John Boehner won't allow to come to the floor. And it said that if it got to the floor, a majority would actually vote for that and increase the minimum wage, which would certainly benefit a lot of people, and I think it would benefit the economy as well. I'd just like to go back to one other point, and that is on compromise. Compromise can be good, particularly if you can make it a win-win situation, but not always.
Farnk, that's it.
Because if you want to go east and I want to go west, then we compromise on what? Going nowhere?
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes you have to look at it. There's got to be a constructive goal in mind.
Time's up, Farnk.
I think he's a lawyer. Lawyers like to talk.
Oh, I know it. Good. No, I appreciate that negotiation. And so this next question, I actually want to kind of explore this unemployment piece related to minimum wage versus employers being able to pay minimum wage or pay a accelerated amount, because minimum wage, I mean, we all worked minimum wage, and we were kids, and we all knew that it was entry-level jobs, and we expected to climb up the ladder. We were going to get that raise. We weren't just going to work for minimum wage, and that was it. So we were going to get 25 cents and 75 cents, and sometimes we went to management or sales, and you got commission and all those type of things. So my next question would be to Aelea, and this is related to minimum wage and related to jobs. And is there a disconnect related to working for that minimum wage and thinking they have to have it? What's the thought process, Aelea, that you have seen with minimum wage and people doing better than that? And I'll give you a minute.
Well, one of the first things is that the idea that the people who hold minimum wage jobs are teenagers who are just making extra money is no